Although drones aren't as captivating as the energy startup AI plays, I think drones have massive potential going into the next 5 to 10 years. And today, I want to talk about one company that I think could benefit off of the drone market basically doubling over the next 5 years. Before we start, this is not financial advice, just my opinion. Do your own research on the companies I'm talking about. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what drone company I would prefer to invest in. Honestly, it'd probably have to be Anduril, but they're not even public yet. So right now I'm kind of staying away from drone companies in general because there hasn't been one that I've researched enough to really want to invest in. But playing off of the drone play is a company called AMPX Technologies, AMPX. Funny enough, only a year ago, this was basically a penny stock, and I actually had it on my penny stock list back when I was into penny stocks. And this thing has, I think, appreciated 200% year to date. And so I'm a little upset I didn't catch the run up till now. But I think at this point, it's a lot safer of a stock or company to invest in, and I want to explain why. So before we get into why this company is looking so good to me, I kind of want to talk about the thesis, right? The drone thesis. And I'm not going to go too much into it. The drone thesis is that drones will become a lot more widely used, specifically for law enforcement and military use. And we've seen that in the Russia and Ukraine war. They've been bombing each other with drones for the past few years, and it's something that we haven't really seen until now. This article from Grandview Research basically says the global unmanned systems market size was estimated at 26.55 billion in 2024 and is projected to reach basically double 48.31 billion by 2030, growing at a CAGR of 10.5% from now until 2030. The growth of the market is driven by the increasing demand for automation in defense, commercial, and industrial sectors. So funny enough, I'm actually a drone pilot myself. For my main job, it's filming, and I use a drone for a lot of that. And so I love drones. I've always loved drones. The next 5 to 10 years, the military will start embracing drone technology. Now, I'd be a liar if I said that I knew everything about drones and about batteries, but what Amprius Technologies does is they basically produce lithium batteries, primarily for aviation technology or drones. They're not just any battery, though. Most drones, pretty much all drones, take lithium batteries, but these batteries are a little bit more special, and I want to show you why. These batteries are silicone anode batteries, which last a lot longer and charge a lot quicker, which if you're a drone pilot like myself is really important, okay? So let's just look at this. And like I said, I don't know everything about lithium technology. Honestly, I don't know a lot about lithium technology. But when you tell me that it charges right here, ultra fast charging, our batteries can charge 0% to 80% in as little as 6 minutes. That is impressive to me because as a DJI drone user, it takes hours to charge my regular lithium battery that I have for my drone, and it only lasts for 30 minutes. These ones last twice as long, and they charge in 6 minutes, pretty much all the way to full, which is extremely impressive. As you can see, they have this on their website, but basically conventional cells last 48 minutes compared to their silicone anode batteries, which last 100 minutes. So it's basically doubling the amount that it lasts, and then also takes 6 minutes to charge. And I know that the regular batteries do not. So it's a cool technology, and you could be thinking, well, is that enough of a moat? If you see how many clients that they're gaining every quarter, I think you'll kind of rethink that idea. And I think what's exciting most to me is their numbers, and that's what I kind of want to talk about. I think the thesis of drones becoming a lot more widely used in militaries all around the world, and then if you think about it, robotics. Amprius also creates battery tech for robotics. Right now, they're getting most of their revenue from drones and aviation technology. but I think that could also include robotics in the future, and I'll tell you why. So let's go over their most recent earnings report. This quarter, they generated 21.4 million in revenue. Now, hold your horses. That doesn't sound like a lot in terms of the stock market, okay? Um, but it is up to 42% from last quarter, and then 173% from last year. So they're growing at triple digits, and they've been growing at triple digits for the last few quarters, which is extremely impressive, and I don't think that will stop. If you haven't had a chance, I definitely recommend reading this letter, because I think after reading this, you might become a little bit more bullish. So they kind of talk about how they have 444 customers altogether. So they're definitely taking market share. I don't really know who their competitors are. I haven't researched that. But these numbers, when they're growing triple digits, I like to imagine that their technology is good enough to gain momentum. And that's kind of what's motivating me as a shareholder. Now, I definitely want to do more research on, who they're partnering with and who their competitors are, so I have a good idea. But I'm just kind of presenting a general thesis, and you can do more research on your own if you want. It says, looking at our customer base, about 75% of our revenue in the third quarter came from the aviation segment, led by unmanned aerial systems, which is basically drones. And then part of their revenue was from light electric vehicles. I don't really care about that right now. So a lot of their revenue comes from outside of the US, but I imagine that will start to shift a little bit. And actually, that's bullish, because that means they haven't scratched the surface of the US market. And I think that as the US military and, law enforcement gets more into drones and maybe develop better drones, that they'll be looking for better battery technology like AMPX. This part I really thought was interesting. Basically, Amazon selected them to help make Amazon more energy efficient and climate friendly. Now, I don't care as much about that, but what I find interesting is that they're working with Amazon in this process, and I think that Amazon wants to basically they want to replace a lot of their workers with robotics, and I think Amprius Technologies, if they can utilize these batteries for robotics and gain that as market share, I think getting Amazon as one of their clients would be a huge stock moving news. I think it's really exciting that there is potential for a Amazon Amprius partnership. Like I said before, the exciting part of this company, in my opinion, are the numbers. The drone thesis is exciting, but it's not something that I care for as much as just a company executing on a very high level and growing insanely fast. And obviously, they're a small company, so they're going to grow faster than probably a bigger company would. But it's still exciting to see that they're executing, and it looks like they're doing everything right. Now, like I said, I'm not an expert at reading numbers, but here are some things that I noticed, right? 173% year over year revenue is really exciting. Last quarter, I think it was like 300% year over year revenue growth. At the end of Q3, they had $53.3 million of orders. They also say that their gross margin increased from 9% to 15%, which is almost a double. So they're able to make more money from each, from the revenue that they're making. And although they're not profitable, I think they're on a trajectory to become profitable. It says these expenses bring our operating loss to 4.7 million in Q3 compared to an operating loss of 6.8 million in the second quarter, shrinking our operating loss by over 30% quarter over quarter. So Amprius is technically not profitable yet, but I think they're on the path to profitability. And this could scare a lot of investors, and I totally get it. This is a pretty risky or risk-on name to invest in. They're sitting at a $1.5 billion market cap, so it's a very small company. They're not yet profitable, but what I look at is they're growing at 173% year over year and more. They're on the trajectory to profitability. And right here it says, we exited the third quarter with $73.2 million in cash and no debt. And that to me is exciting because they know how to manage their money. And I think that when you want to invest in a company, you should find a company that knows how to manage money properly, right? Right now, November 2025, at the time of filming, we've seen a sell-off of risk on assets um, going into the end of the year, and we might see that bounce back. We might see risk on assets or smaller companies get a little bit of that bid. Um, right now, this company is sitting at $10.60, which is a $1.5 billion or $1.3 billion market cap. This company has seen an impressive run up this year. It was at $2 back in April when the whole market fell. A year ago, it was at, around the same price, and I had it on my list and I never invested in it because it was a penny stock and I wasn't interested in it. But I've seen the amount of growth that they've had, and I think the momentum towards drones and that drone market, and then also robotics, I think as a long-term hold, this will not stay at a $1.3 billion market cap. And that's just my opinion. Right now we're at $10.60. If it even went to a $10 billion market cap, which isn't a huge company, this would be a 10x roughly from here. Okay. Now I think they would have to start making a lot more money because they're trading at 20 to 30 times price to sales. I don't know the exact amount, but it's around there. So they are pretty overvalued from a stock perspective. But I think investors like the amount of growth that they have. This stock has seen an impressive run up, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we consolidated in this range right here from $10 to $16 until we get more deals or better, I shouldn't even say better earnings, but more clarity on if their growth will continue and if they're going to be making more money going into 2026. And then also what clients they get. I think if we can get some more well-known customers, such as, Amazon, like I mentioned, Anduril is making drones. If we see any partnership with companies that are well known, I think this thing can go pretty high. These are some of the aviation customers that they say that they have. And so these are companies that we are aware of, but I would like to see partnerships with different companies, companies that are more well known. After doing the amount of research that I have, I do believe that AMPX could be a multi-bagger, as the kids say. Now, if you're not into more risk on assets, then maybe this isn't the company for you. I just see the potential in the amount of growth that they're having, the amount of customers that they're acquiring and also growing, and then also the drone thesis going into the next few years with military technology being innovated on. I think there's a lot of momentum to make this company not just a $1.48 billion market cap as of today, possibly a $10+ billion market cap company. So what I'm looking for going into the future is profitability from this company, possibly partnerships with more well-known companies, and then third, more revenue. I think that the amount of revenue they make, obviously the growth is there. I think they need to make obviously more revenue to justify a larger market cap. These are all the reasons why I'm bullish on AMPX Technologies. There are risks involved, such as it being such a small company, not being profitable, but I do believe that this could be a good long-term investment over the next 5 to 10 years for myself and for my portfolio. I'm interested in technology names, AI, risk on assets. That doesn't mean that all of my positions will be like that. I'm bullish on AI being a great tool for a lot of people to use. A lot of people are scared of the AI bubble. And that's why I'm going to be monitoring a lot of these AI names that I'm invested in very closely to see if there's any cracks or any red flags, basically, And if there are red flags, then I will sell out of them. My top two holdings are Bloom Energy and Applied Digital. So you can kind of see that I'm interested in high beta, high risk names that are, you know, those two are for the AI data center play. AMPX is more for the drone technology play. And I also have other investments that I'm invested in, like Robinhood, which is a finance play. I think going into 2026, it would be good to have some hedges. For me, I think investing in gold would be part of my portfolio personally. I think I'd love to be invested in gold and then also some bigger companies. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Remember, do your own research on this name, and I'll try to put out some more content about this name when we get more information on it. I don't know everything about lithium batteries, and so that's why it's important to do your own research. But I love this company. I think it's heading towards a really good trajectory. So